Guys, this is Legend Collection Live, and a big welcome to Mr. Bobby Zamora to Match One Shirt. Welcome, Bobby.
Pleasure, mate.
I'm going to start off with our first question that we ask every player. What is your earliest memory of a football shirt, any football shirt from when you were a kid?
Well, I grew up in East London, so West Ham was my team. West Ham's the team I support. Not a great season this year, but probably Frank McAvenny.
Okay.
In a BAC Windows shirt, I think. I don't know what the brand of shirt was.
Yeah.
But I do remember
Admiral back then, or was it too late for Admiral?
No, I don't think it was Admiral. No, I think that was before that. But
they had Tony as well. I don't remember what Tony was on the
Pony. They had Pony. They had. But they did that one out. That was later. But yeah, that would be my first memory of a West Ham
home shirt or the away?
Yeah, the home shirt. Actually, not nice. It was nice actually in a way as well, white that they had. So probably that, and then another memory sort of around the same time would have been Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool were very good as well. They had that candy shirt. I remember John Barnes, obviously, Peter Beardsley, those guys, and that candy. I just remember. I think that's like FA Cup final sort of times I remember in my head.
Well, they were in mostly FA Cup finals at that time.
Yeah,
probably with it. Amazing. And when you then got into professional football and you started playing, were shirts something that you thought about? Were shirts on your mind? Did you think about collecting, or was it something that just happened naturally?
It wasn't really something that was in the forefront of my mind about swapping with sort of big name players or anything like that. I always wanted to swap shirts with friends.
Yeah.
So I've been quite fortunate that a lot of the lads that I grew up with as kids, you know, it was crazy. Turned out to be really good big name household names. So John Terry and Ledley King and Paul Kinchesky, all those guys that I grew up with. So I would always ask friends that I'd either played with or played against. And obviously as you sort of come through as a younger lad, and year on year you end up making more friends within the game. Obviously you come against them at some stage, and those would be the players that I would swap shirts with. So it was more friend based first. And as I got a little bit older, I thought actually I probably should take one or two from you know, some great players.
Pretty good names. I was about to say, I think the theme in this collection is it's quality over quantity. I would say it's some insane shirts, and you were quite lucky, I guess, because a lot of those mates went on to play for different clubs.
Yeah,
so you had a foot in a few camps all over the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly that. I wasn't really one to go and ask after a game really to too many players. It would always be, you know, so Didier, for instance, JT is one of my best pals, and I would always see JT before the games and after the games. So I'd always say to him, mate, do us a favour, could you ask Frank or could you ask Didier or whoever he may be if I can grab their shirt? Always fine, and I don't think they're going to say no to John anyway. So I was quite fortunate on that front, and the same for pretty much Rio again. You know, played with Anton for many years, and played with Rio for England as well. So knew Rio very well, and I'd always ask Rio if it would be. I mean, Man United were huge, and you know, playing against those iconic players after a game, you never really know how they react. I know that, to be honest, Fabregas was always a bit funny. Obviously, if he's winning, he's fine, and he'd swap a shirt after a game. If he'd lost, though, he didn't want to be anywhere near you. So
you hear a lot of stories now about coaches, and certainly from pundits, you know, people being unhappy if the team have lost and they go and swap shirts. But yeah. I think now with the way that it is, and there's so many friends across clubs, you know, you're not gonna dilute that now.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. That sort of everybody in the game sort of knows each other or has a friend within the team. Yeah. So it's quite hard not to swap a shirt almost, or for a manager to say, no, I don't want anyone swapping shirts today. It's a little bit hard. Again, there are a number of shirts, you know, some players change their shirts 2-3 times within a game if there's an injury or whatever, you know, so it's pretty hard to stop.
We sat once sat in the tunnel club at Ajax, which is one of those situations where you can see into the tunnel, but they can't see where you are. And I was always shocked after the game, exactly like you just said, how many players would just be gone, you know, with a shirt in their hand and sort of waiting around for a mate of a mate of a mate, and a lot of fellow countrymen just come out and swap shirts. But that's how people get the shirts that I think probably mean something more. There's that personal connection to it. Yeah,
exactly that. Yeah, like you say, the connection between international players now. I mean, whether you're really close with them or not, I think there's that respect, and you've come from the same country so I think once you become an opponent or you're up against them, it's almost like a ritual, I think, to swap shirts for those guys.
Look, we're going to start talking about some of these shirts here, and it's an incredible collection that we've got in front of us. We'll start with probably one of the coolest shirts that you could have in a collection, and we're a Dutch company, so there's a special link here for us. But just talk to me a little bit about Dennis Bergkamp and this shirt specifically, because it was obviously their last season at Highbury.
Yeah, this game obviously was a little bit iconic for me, as well as West Ham and sort of history books, I suppose, because this was the last game that West Ham, the last game that Arsenal lost at Highbury. So West Ham beat them. I ended up scoring in the game as well.
You scored the winner?
I scored the second goal, I think. So we won 3-2. But again, it's quite ironic that it's the last team to win at Highbury. And Dennis didn't grace the pitch, but he was sub. And again, I grew up with Ashley Cole, playing against him as a kid for many, many years, and I'd obviously played against him loads. And it was one of those when he'd just left to go to Chelsea, and I remember speaking to Ash and asking if, do you reckon Vic would the kit man that is,
the kit man,
yeah, would be able to get me Dennis's shirt. And ultimately, I ended up getting the shirt, but I ended up getting it signed after.
Did you?
So it wasn't on the night that was signed, but
you got the shirt at the stadium at Highbury.
Yeah. After that game, so again, it was a mad game for me to be a part of, score, win at Highbury, last team to ever do that. So
that's a proper piece of history. It'll be a mixed emotions for an Arsenal fan if they buy that, because it's obviously the last loss, but it's still Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah, Bergkamp. I mean, he's an extremely special player, really is.
Moving straight on to another Arsenal legend and another very iconic Arsenal shirt as well here, Mr. Thierry Henry. Was there a similar story of how you got that one?
Yeah, I actually asked Thierry on for this one after West Ham at home, I believe. I think it was the following season. So yeah, just again, I think I was brave enough to ask Thierry. I think
Did you win that game?
No, I don't think we did. No, but I remember Gilberto Cesc played in that game, and Van Persie as well.
That's the shirt that I remember Cesc sort of breaking through it, because that must have been in his early years.
Yeah,
and then Van Persie as well in that shirt.
It's funny looking
at. It's the O2 one? No, Emirates.
How big those shirts are. That that era, and even the Bergkamp. Listen, both big guys, but but they seem to have the oversized look, which was the look back then, or the fashion.
When I was with Jody Morris the other day, and we were looking at his shirts. We're going to speak to him later, but all of his shirts are like massive, and we were going through them at his house, and I was just thinking, like, I've never seen it. It's crazy, and all the pictures of him from back in the day, they do look like he's put on his dad's shirt, but everybody did at the same time.
Exactly that.
You've touched a little bit, I think, on the ex sort of friends and links to players, but there's only one player that features here twice, controversially, for both Manchester clubs. But tell us about your relationship with Carlos Tevez and how you got these shirts.
Yeah, Carlos, I played with at West Ham, obviously, when he came to England. Had a really, really good connection with him on the pitch, a good respect as well, and we sort of had that great escape that year at West Ham, where we had to go to Manchester United and get something. We ultimately ended up winning. Carlos scores in that game, makes it 1-0. Man United had already won the league, but for us, still 3 points and safety. It was just a crazy, crazy game. Again, another amazing atmosphere in terms of United winning the league and having the trophy, and us staying up. So the whole stadium was.
Is that from that game?
I don't think it's from that game, but No, because it obviously Tev played for West Ham.
I was going to say
West Ham for that one, but that's where the connection came with Carlos and becoming good friends. And whenever I'd sort of play against him, it was just one of those things. Can I grab your shirt? So.
And this is the same as well. There's some obvious. You did well not to wash these shirts, by the way, because a lot of players wash them.
No, I think that one's not signed, but when they're signed, pretty much on the evening, it's just. I
find it mad that they used to play in this material.
It's so warm, isn't it?
You're sweating, or if it's raining.
Yeah. But yeah, Carlos.
What was he like as a teammate?
Do you know, you've heard all the stories before about Carlos, and his work ethic in training was horrendous.
Really?
Boots not tied up, just very casual, didn't really care. I mean, he came with Javier Mascherano as well. So there's the pair of them, and they were like chalk and cheese, really. Like, Carlos couldn't care about speaking English, whereas Javier was having lessons every single day. Carlos in training like that, Javier didn't play too many games, but worked his socks off, wasn't playing, knew he wasn't going to play on a weekend, and after training he'd go on the treadmill 45 minutes just pounding. It was like just chalk and cheese. But I mean, Carlos was just chilled. But on a Saturday,
Different level.
he just worked his socks off, and you know, the respect was there from everyone. If he hadn't have done that on a Saturday, I don't think the lads would have, you know, sort of bought into him. But you know exactly what you was going to get from him on a Saturday in terms of work rate. So.
And you probably stayed up because of him that season, right? Because
No, our top goal scorer that season. Make sure you get that right, okay?
edit that one out as well.
Yeah, there's in that. Keep that in. Everyone thinks it's Carlos. It wasn't. It was me.
Good. Well, you've set the record straight. That's it. That's what this is for.
Carlos was a big part, and listen, he's a fantastic player, and yeah, as us as a squad from a season previously to where we was that year, we didn't perform, and that's down to us. But ultimately, we managed to turn it around. With enough time, and ended up staying up last game of the season against United.
We move up north with the shirts here as well, so pretty appropriate timing. There's a couple of huge names on here from the two big teams in red. Talk us through a couple of these. Paul Scholes, Rio Ferdinand.
So Rio, as I say, sort of grew up and played with his brother for a number of years, and became close with Rio. Obviously, we played together at QPR, but when he was at United, would always speak to him. Obviously, he would be behind me in terms of defending.
Yeah.
So there was always that battle and that respect. But yeah, I mean, Rio was an amazing player, fantastic Rolls Royce. Vidic would be the one behind him. And Vidic's nose is probably somewhere still in the back of my head. And Rio would be 10 yards behind, just picking up the pieces and looking all elegant, really. So that was a really good partnership. And Rio again, you know.
So that's why you would watch them. Because if you've got this signature on, because that's covered in mud here on the wide.
Yeah, really if they're signed, then I guess that would come out. So never sort of washed them. But
it's much better for this because it's about 30 or 40% more value.
If you've got mud stains over it. The thing is with the strikers, we tend to not get as dirty shirts as the centre halves or the midfielders. So a lot of striker shirts that you find will try to not have too much mud on them.
Well, here's probably quite a good example of this. I'm not sure if this is a worn or issued shirt yet, but it certainly doesn't look like it's got a single mark on it from Mr. Torres. You've got a lot of forward players on the table. Would you often ask to get a shirt of sort of a player that you looked up to or really sort of appreciated, or is that just because you had the affiliation and you'd
obviously those are normally the sort of go-to household name sort of superstars, aren't they? Strikers, they get the most limelight. So I suppose there's a respect part as well as obviously huge names. But I mean, Scholes, for instance, I mean, I've played in games when Rio's behind me and Scholes, he will be literally just sat in front. And it's almost like player cam. I say whenever I speak about Scholes, it's like I'm literally 5-10 yards behind him most of the time when he's picking the ball up from Rio. So I literally see his picture and what he does with the ball, and the respect for Paul Scholes and Stevie G is exactly the same. That you just appreciate everything because you're so close to them. You see the picture that they see, and the balls that they pick, the delivery that they do when they're on the ball. It's absolutely incredible. And I think Paul Scholes and Steven Gerrard are up there with the best midfielders. So the very, very best. And it's just, I mean, Scholes, Gerrard and Lampard, I think, for me, those three where I can't get close to them enough to win the ball back. But you see the whole picture of everything they see and the passes that they make and the delivery that they produce is just crazy. So Scholesy and Steven Gerrard are shirts that certainly I would I'd ask for. And I do have other shirts of these at home. So I think all of the shirts here, I've got another, and it's I didn't have so many shirts, but it seems to be just a respect for a group of few, to be honest, that I ended up getting once or twice over. And Didier's one, I have another one which I obviously broke my leg when I was playing, and Didier ends up writing a nice note, so glad to see you come back after your leg break. So that one means a lot as well, to have such a nice note on it as well. So
just to touch quickly on Stevie G, another time, because you obviously played in the FA Cup final where he scored. Sorry to bring that up, but,
Yeah.
but just because you mentioned him, the goal he scored in that game,
Yeah.
one of the most iconic FA Cup goals in history. How it's a horrible thing to ask, but how tough was that?
Yeah. To obviously be ahead in that game and look like we was going to win it again. I'm talking about where I'm playing. I was stood just behind Steven Gerrard, so I see the ball come to him and I see the shot. And in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, go on, crack on. Yeah, don't, like, you go and shoot from 45 yards away. It's fine. And then, yeah, he obviously puts it into that. It's into the, top corner almost. And it's just, it's like, oh no. But yeah, appreciation for Steven Gerrard is incredible. What an amazing player. And yeah, he's one that I did ask as well. There aren't many players that I'd actually ask, but Thierry, Steven Gerrard certainly are. So yeah.
I actually read something that he only took that on that shot because his legs were so hacky.
Yes, I can imagine.
So it's just like, oh, I'll have a go. And then obviously when you're that talented, it just flies in the bottom corner. Whereas for me, it would end up in Rose Ed. You mentioned quickly about Drogba there. So this was the shirt, I think, when you were at QPR. Yeah. So that was quite late in the season. And so that shirt is obviously, for a Chelsea fan, pretty iconic, signed to Bobby there. But did he wear this, or was he not playing in that game?
I don't think he played in that game. But I remember, obviously, like I say, grew up with John, so every game, win, lose, whatever, I would obviously go and meet up with John after the game. And ultimately, at the end of that one, I went in and I think Didier came over, said hello, and I ended up asking, say, do you reckon Didier would give me a shirt? And John I don't think they're going to say no, to be honest. And,
but that's obviously so special because I think probably less than 2 months after that, Chelsea obviously went on to win the Champions League, and obviously this is a league shirt, but it was in that exact shirt that he scored probably the most famous goal in Chelsea Football Club's history. So for any collector, that is, I mean,
a good time,
a serious time. I appreciate time is of the essence, so I don't think we need to discuss every shirt on the table, but just to touch quickly on the Ryan Giggs United one.
Yeah, I think that was towards the end of his career as well.
Yeah.
And it was one of those players. He's one of those iconic players that I thought I have to have a Ryan Giggs shirt. And again, I think Rio done us a turn and managed to grab us a shirt. So yeah, I'm extremely grateful for that, to have somebody who's like Ryan Giggs.
100%. And is there any shirt that you'd never let go of, that you'd always keep, or are you?
Probably some of my ones, to be honest. Yeah. Like you say, the FA Cup final, Europa League Cup final. And obviously England, with Fulham, and England, I think. And again, probably like the nice touch from Drogba, and a lot of my real close pals. I think I'll keep. I've got loads of JT shirts, to be honest, but I think he'd actually kill me if I ever. I've got quite a few of John's and other friends as well that I think I would keep. Steve Sidwell, one of my best pals as well. Real good note he's left. They ended up battering us one game, and
Was this when he was at Chelsea?
No, he was actually Reading versus West Ham. Nice. Bad game for us, but a good game for him, and I grabbed his shirt after that game as well. So yeah, Siddy's is one I'll never get rid of.
Top man. Bobby Zamora, thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.
Nice one.
Thanks, mate. Nice one.